Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your English class. As we have already discussed the paragraph number 1 to 5 in our previous video, today we will continue further. When the stars had ceased to explode before my eyes, I had my first view of Claribel. The narrator of the story is saying that when I heard the sweet singing of the Claribel, I was surprised to hear it because I was in stars, or you can say that he means to say that he was in the space. Para number 6. She was a small yellow canary hanging in the air as motionless as hummingbird and with much less effort, for her wings were quietly folded along her sides. We stared at each other for a minute before I had recovered my wits. She did a kind of backward loop. I'm sure no earthbound canary had ever managed. Now, here in this para, the narrator is saying that I was shocked to see the canary bird, and I'm sure that no earthbound canary means the canary birds which live on earth. No earthbound canaries would have managed to do the loop in the air with no gravity and in such a motionless way, effortless way. The way the canary bird, whose name was Claribel, was doing the backward loop, he was surprised to see that. And he says that the bird was still at one place as if like a hummingbird. Then she departed with a few unhurried flicks. It was quite obvious that she had already learned how to operate in the absence of gravity and did not believe in doing unnecessary work. Now, here in these lines, the narrator is saying that the bird, the Claribel, made a few unhurried flicks and departed from that place. Means she went away from that place where the narrator and the canary bird was looking at each other with surprise. He says that it was quite obvious that the way she was flying and the way she was doing backward loops and moving from one place to another, it obviously showed that she had already learned to operate in the absence of gravity and did not believe in doing unnecessary works. Para 7. Sven didn't confess to her ownership for several days. By that time, it no longer mattered because Claribel was a general pet. He had smuggled her up on the last ferry from Earth when he came back from leave partly, he claimed, out of sheer scientific curiosity. He wanted to see just how a bird would operate when it had no weight but could still use its wing. Now, here in this para, the narrator is saying that Sven, the best constructor of their team, did not confess its ownership to the bird, but after a week, that bird became a general pet, and he says that he smuggled her, means he illegally carried her along with him when he was boarding on the space rocket on the space rocket last time after his vacations. And he says that partly he did this because of scientific curiosity. He says that he smuggled that bird on the ferry because he wanted to see how a bird would manage without gravity in a space. Next para. Claribird thrived and grew fat on the whole. We had little trouble hiding our unauthorized guests when VIPs from Earth came visiting. A space station was more hiding place than you can count. The only problem was that Claribel got rather noisy when she was upset. We sometimes had to think fast to explain the curious peeps and whistles that came from ventilating shafts and storage spaces. There was a couple of narrow escapes, but then who would dream of looking for a canary in a space station? Now here the narrator is saying that that the canary bird or claribel started growing fat, and they had little trouble while hiding this bird somewhere in the space ferry whenever the VIPs from Earth gave visiting. Now he also says that it used to become a little bit difficult for them to hide it, because sometimes when the claribel was upset, it used to make a lot of noise, and for that they had to make some excuses to explain why this kind of noise is coming, why this whistling and peeping sound is coming like a bird from the ventilating shaft. And he also says that there were some narrow escapes in the ferry, but if the bird would have gone out or made to go out in the space, then who would have looked for the bird in the space, he says. The next para. We were now on 12-hour watches, which was not as bad as it sounds, since you need little sleep in space, though of course there is no day and night when you are floating in permanent sunlight. It was still convenient to stick to the terms. Now here the narrator is saying in this para that we were on 12-hour watches now, and it became little bit bad from the real life, and he says that yes, that in the space there is no day or night, there is no difference in day or night, because they continuously float in the space ferry, and the day, like it happens on the Earth, the day comes and the night comes. This doesn't happen in the space because the sunlight is always there. Now here he says that it doesn't there is no day and night when you float in a permanent sunlight, but it will be still convenient if we stick to the terms of sleeping and resting, because a human body needs rest to work. Certainly when I woke up that morning, it felt like 6 a.m. on the Earth. I had a nagging headache and vague memories of fitful disturbed dreams. Now here in these lines the narrator is saying that when I woke up it was 6 o'clock. It was looking as if it was 6 o'clock on the Earth, and he says that he was having headache and he had disturbed dreams also. Para number 10. I was still only half awake when I joined the remainder of the duty crew in the mess. Breakfast was unusually quiet and there was one seat vacant. Now here in this para 10, the narrator is saying that he was only half awake and when he joined the duty crew in the mess, and he says that the breakfast table had a vacant seat. Where's Sven? I asked. He's looking for Claribel, someone answered. Says he can't find her anywhere. She usually wakes him up. in this para, the narrator is saying that Sven, who was the real owner of the bird, Claribel, was looking for it because he could not find it anywhere in the space ferry. Para number 13. Before I could retort that she usually woke me up too, Sven came in through the doorway. We could see at once that something was wrong. He slowly opened his hand and there lay a tiny bundle of yellow feathers with clenched claws sticking pathetically up into the air. Now, here in this 13th paragraph, the narrator of the story is saying that I was about to say that the bird used to wake me up too, but he says that he suddenly saw Sven coming from the doorway, and after looking at him, all of them guessed that there was something seriously wrong, and they could, when Sven opened his hands, they could see the yellow bundle of feathers, means they could see the bird, yellow bird, which was not moving. What happened? We asked, all quickly distressed. I don't know, said Sven mournfully. I just found her like this. Now, here in para number 14 and 15, the narrator is saying that we were all distressed and we suddenly asked him what was happening to the bird, and Sven answered that he did not know anything and he found it like that. That's all for today. We'll continue with our explanation in our next video. Thank you and have a good day.